All right, guys, things are heating up. Things are escalating. EU and NATO banks have been hit with massive attacks, and NATO and EU countries are now raising their threat levels too high. They're now raising their threat levels too high, and you can bet that more attacks like this are going to happen, and that we could see people locked out of banking institutions, all right? We could see ourselves locked out of our bank accounts, our credit cards. All right, we could see this as a new way to implement a digital banking currency and curb inflation. All right, we're going to see all these things in the future very soon. We already know there's plans for this, and things like this are only going to further escalate the quote need for them. All right, there's an agenda, problem, reaction, solution. They're going to give you the problem and they're going to give you the solution, which is a digital currency. So let's get into what's happening here. Also, hospitals inside the United States, inside Tallahassee, Florida, are being shut down, their operations, and they're getting hit hard. And we are also seeing other events that are, quote, destroying small businesses happening right now. So let's get into these banks that are getting hit inside the EU, and this is a NATO country. So here's the headline: Danish banks hit by DDoS, which is a denial of service cyber attack. Is your financial information safe there? That's what this article is asking. And this is very dangerous, all right? This hit the central bank of Denmark, and 7 private banks were the target of the DDoS attacks on Tuesday, January 10th. It included Jyske Bank, Sid Bank, and a couple more that I can't pronounce, 3 of Denmark's largest banks. It says the bank data, a company that provides financial technology service center, was targeted by hackers, which also disrupted the operation of the banks using the IT company's own servers. All right, so this is very serious. These DDoS attacks could affect payment processing, credit card processing. All these things could be hit from these attacks, and banks could not be able to access financial records because their servers are overwhelmed with these attacks. Essentially, these attacks are just overwhelming, flooding the servers. It's like overloading the grid or something. They're flooding their servers so they can no longer access their normal banking operations. All right, so this is very dangerous that this is happening, and this is happening in Denmark. And in response, this is a NATO country. They have raised the threat level too high from this event. The threat level too high, and we just saw this Chinese space balloon. All right, this Chinese spy balloon. And it's one of these things where we could see EMP attacks, we could see cyber attacks. Congressmen were warning of bioweapon attacks. All right, go check out my videos from yesterday. This balloon has been shot down now officially, but we're going to see more escalations. We've kind of reached a tipping point where we are moving out of the theater of just over in the east, and it is now moving towards the west. We are going to see more attacks and more incidents on the west coming soon. You can almost bet on it. And you can see here Denmark has raised their cybersecurity alert level after attacks from hacker groups. And it says Denmark on Tuesday raised its cybersecurity alert level from medium to high after several attacks by hacker groups in recent weeks, the country's Center for Cybersecurity said. Quote, the risk level is being raised on the back of high activity among cyber activists who are carrying out many attacks against targets within a wide range of NATO countries. It's one of these things, cyber attacks can come from anywhere. Cyber attacks could be misdirected, misleaded, misguided to look like they're coming from other places as well, and other countries could inherit the blame for these attacks. All right, false flag scenarios are probably most prevalent with cyber attacks because they're so easy. There's no physical evidence, and foreign governments and our own government have been caught using other countries' cybersecurity protocols. All right, so it looks like they are using the hacking systems when it's actually a different country. All right, let's get into what's happening here in Tallahassee, Florida. This is going to become more prevalent, and we're going to see this more and more, and we're going to see more balloons, more airspace invasions. All these things are going to become more frequent and become normalized. a congressman, top congressman, was warning of bioweapons on live TV. All right, the rhetoric is escalating very quickly, very fast. And you can see here, Tallahassee Hospital is diverting patients and canceling non-emergency surgeries after a massive cyber attack. It says they have been forced to divert patients to other facilities and cancel all non-emergency surgical procedures after being hit by a cyber attack that began on Thursday night. The Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, one of the biggest hospitals serving a 21-county region in North Florida and South Georgia, said they have had to take their IT systems offline due to the security issue. So this is happening in the United States as well. I've covered cyber attack after cyber attack here. And when are we going to see the big one? This balloon is a major threat because we could see EMP attacks from it as well. Right? The grid could be taken out from this. An EMP is essentially a nuclear blast detonated in the atmosphere at a specific altitude to cause maximum damage, and that essentially is what this balloon could have done. All right, these balloons are capable of holding payloads in the hundreds, some of them thousands of pounds, some of them are massive, and balloons have even been used in warfare before, in World War II before. You can see here that businesses, small businesses, are also being destroyed. This is also a part of the attack as well. Attack the economy, attack the supply chain, create more inflation, attack the banks, attack the credit unions, prevent payment processing, prevent credit card processing. All of these things will be disrupted. Problem, reaction, solution to bring in a new globalist government. All right, we know this is what the agenda is. And you can see here, Royal Mail cyber attack is, quote, destroying small businesses as overseas post still disrupted. I reported on this in early January, how the Royal Mail cyber attack has shut down all overseas mail, and this is still going on right now, still happening. How many more things need to happen? KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, they were all hit with a massive cyber attack. Hundreds of their stores were shut down. All right, a nuclear power plant in Canada was hit with a cyber attack. This is all within the last month. I'm just trying to remember things I've reported on. A nuclear power plant in Canada was hit with a massive cyber attack as well. We keep seeing these events happening, and one of the largest manufacturers in Canada that produces aluminum die-cast, steel die-cast products was hit with a cyber attack. When are we going to see the big one, the big kahuna that takes out the grid or takes out the banking infrastructure? The Fed already has with the New York Fed, they already have a pilot program for a digital currency, a federal digital currency. They already are working on it. I made a whole video on it a couple months ago. They're working on it with the New York Fed. And that's the agenda. That's what they want, because we're getting to a point where things are just becoming so expensive. Things are becoming so out of reach. They need a reset. And how they're going to do that, they can manipulate this central digital currency. They know where all the currency is. And they can just say, hey, here's your, your bump up for inflation or your bump down for deflation. They can just manipulate your own bank account. All right. They can also block you out of your bank account. We've seen this happen in Canada just from people protesting. These truckers were blocked out of their bank account. And it's also going to be used to track carbon credits, and essentially everything you do, all the energy you consume will be tracked with a cryptocurrency, a central digital currency, and you will be taxed and traced and tracked from that system as well too. All right. Leaving your car, driving your car, having your lights on, all this stuff is going to have a carbon tax on it soon. It's already happened in Canada, the EU, all these places. It just hasn't really hit the US yet. And when it hits here, it's going to be the big one. All right, so get prepared now, guys. Make sure you have some cash. You never know when this could happen, when you could be locked out of your bank account. These were some of the biggest banks in Denmark. All right, it says the Central Bank of Denmark, so this is like the Fed or the Treasury or something being hacked, And also, 3 of their largest banks were hacked as well, denial of service, and this was affecting their operations and affecting people's banking operations. And one thing that is a massive vulnerability is all of these central institutions, all of these central infrastructure systems, they have outsourced all of their IT stuff to other companies, like this company, the bank data, just some company that processes banking data. They got cyber attacked, so they don't even have to target the bank directly. They target these third-party companies that work with the bank or whatever, and the bank depends on them. They use their platforms for payment processing or for cloud storage, whatever it is, all these different IT things that they could be using them for. They just target these third-party companies. That's what happened when these thousands of ships, I made a video on this a couple weeks ago, thousands of ships were trapped, and this was because a third-party company that they use for their logistics and for their mapping and their routing, that company was hacked, and then they were shut down because they couldn't access any of their maps, routing, logistics, and where to go and what time they need to be there, all that stuff for their deliveries. They couldn't access that information because a third party was hacked, some random program that they use for the ships, all right? This massive shipping company. So the shipping company itself wasn't even hacked. They hacked the third party. So it's very vulnerable. One of these things, our banking institutions really aren't safe. They've all been outsourced. And a lot of these companies aren't even domestic companies. A lot of times, even the companies themselves could be foreign companies or outsourced companies, and we don't even have complete control over the data that they are processing. All right, it's just like with TikTok. It's like semi-domestic, but it's also foreign. They have foreign servers. They're running all their information through China. All right, it's one of these things. A lot of these companies are very similar. It's like a domestic company, all right, operating domestically, but their servers are foreign. So just another security threat we need to be prepared for. Make sure you have cash, and make sure you are stocking up precious metals, gold, silver, copper, lead, all that good stuff. Make sure you have them all, guys. Make sure you're stocked up, getting prepared, and make sure you're hitting that like button, hitting that sub, hit that bell too if you want to get notified for every single video. Hit those comments down below. Let me know if you think this is a big deal. They're raising their threat level too high, all right? And could we see a cyber attack on the banks next? So thank you guys so much, and you have a big old blessed day.